Greetings everyone, it's Rob from Star Games, and we are here with the Mad Titan Shadow spoilers. This time we are on the fourth scenario, and that is Hela. Yes. Thanos was the third scenario, but now we are going on to the fourth one, which is Hela, the Asgardian goddess of death. Now, we have her right here in front of us, and she has a lot of asterisks on her. One scheme, one attack. You know she is an A1, not the typical stages. Hela gets +1 scheme, +1 attack, and +2 hit points per player for each side scheme in the victory display. So the more side schemes you blow through, the stronger she becomes. When Hela is defeated, if Odin is not attached to the main scheme, you win the game. So that means Odin is in this set as well. You'll also note that she has the Mystic trait on this one, and this comes into play because on A2, she is wounded. She is no longer the Mystic. 0 scheme, 0 attack. Hela cannot be defeated. Has infinite hit points. And after a side scheme is defeated, flip her back to her Mystic side. So pretty much, I'm assuming the way it works is, if you damage her enough, she flips down to get wounded, loses her attack power and all that, but you also can't win the game until she comes back up to her Mystic side. B1 is the same thing, 2 scheme, 2 attack, 9 hit points, and this time it's +3 hit points per player, and again, can only be defeated after Odin is not attached to the main scheme. And this time on her flip side, she has a 1 scheme and 1 attack for her expert or B2 side. Her main scheme, and I'll kind of read it for you guys so it's not really in play, is attach Odin to the main scheme, captive side up, reveal Niflheim and Gon, set Yalbur, Scourge, Hall of Nastron, and Nidhogg aside, out of play. Shuffle the encounter deck. So it sounds like, without looking at the campaign book, that Hela has come back and she's enslaved or captured Odin. So main scheme comes into play with 1 per player, +1 per player, 18 threat per player to finish it. If it's completed, you lose the game. And this says forced interrupt. When Hela would be defeated, if Odin is attached to this scheme, discard each attachment from Hela and flip her to her wounded side instead. So this is the one that does it. So basically, if you knock her out and Odin is still on the scheme, that causes her to flip down to her wounded side and she loses all her attachments. Odin, here we go. Odin has joined us. 0 cost, 2 thwart, 3 attack, double consequential on both. While Odin is not attached to the main scheme, the first player gains control of Odin. Odin cannot have cards attached and does not count against the ally limit. If Odin leaves play, the players lose the game. So you better not have Odin die. So I just don't attack with him probably. Odin looking much healthier this time. As a king, 3 thwart, 4 attack, 2 consequential damage each, so he can swing twice, do 8 damage or 6 thwart. Odin cannot have encounter cards attached and does not count against the ally limit. Same thing, when he leaves play, remove him from the game. So this is a much more healthier Odin. Niflheim, which comes into play from the beginning. Side scheme, 2 thwart, hinder +1 per player. Victory 2. When defeated, the first player reveals Yalbur and Scourge and puts them into play. Deal each other player an encounter card. Hall of Nastron, another side scheme. 4 threat, hinder 1+. Victory 4, so there's lots of money here. When defeated, the first player detaches Odin from the main scheme and takes control of him. Deal each player 1 face down encounter card. So this side scheme is the one that you have to beat to get Odin off the main scheme. which will then free him, allowing you to actually beat Hela finally. Yalbur, when defeated, the first player reveals the Hall of Nastron and Nidhogg and puts them into play. Deal each other player one face-up encounter card. 3 scheme, again, hinder +1 per player. So let's hop back for a second before we go any further. Because on Hela's setup card, Yalbur and Hall comes out. Okay, so that's what I thought. Okay, so look at this. Look at how they did this. To really like mess with you. That's why I want to look at this. Niflheim comes into play first. Once you beat this, you then add Yalbur and Scourge. Yalbur comes into play. Once you beat that, that's when the Hall of Nastron comes into play. So all these cards start out of play. And once you beat the first game, then the second one comes in. Then the third one, the one that you actually have to defeat to rescue Odin. So it's almost like you're making your way through. You know, you're starting out over here in Niflheim. Then you're making your way over here to Yalbur, and then going to the halls of Nastron. Now remember, each side scheme that you defeat makes Hela stronger. You get the +1 for each one. So at stage 3, when you defeat this last side scheme, the Hall of Nastron, there's a +3 on her scheme, +3 on her attack, and up to 6 or 9 hit points per player on her to make her even beefier. So that's clever. That's a very clever way of dealing with these side schemes. I didn't realize that prior to going through this, that it was set up in a particular way. Garm does come into play automatically. 1 scheme, 2 attack, toughness, victory 2, 4 health per player. Garm engages the first player. I guess that doesn't mean he starts with the first player. Threat cannot be removed from Niflheim. So you have to defeat Garm before you can even remove threat from the first scheme. Scourge. Now Scourge comes in with the second one. 1 scheme, 3 attack, 5 health per player, toughness, victory 3. Scourge enters, engages the first player. Scourge's attacks gain piercing, and threat cannot be removed from Yalbur. So similar to the dog. So the dog stops it from the first scheme. Scourge stops it from the second scheme. Nidhogg, 1 scheme, 4 attack per player, 6 health, 4 attack, 6 health per player, toughness, victory 4, gains overkill, and threat cannot be removed from the Hall of Nastron. So Nidhogg stops you from removing threat from the last scheme. Night Sword, attached to Hela. Hela's attacks gain piercing, +1 attack. You'll notice something about Hela's attachments that's very important to realize. What's missing from her attachment that isn't there? I'll give you a second. Did you figure it out? There's no way to get rid of it. The only way to get rid of the attachments is to do the main scheme where you defeat her and she loses all her attachment. Hela's crown, attached to Hela, +1 scheme. After she schemes, give her a face down boost card. Again, there's nothing that gets rid of it. So you have to do that forced interrupt that causes her to lose all her attachments if you want to actually get rid of them. Hela's cloak. Hela gains stalwart. So she gains a +1 scheme, +1 attack. As stalwart, has a boost card and has piercing from her different attachments. Hela's domain. Place 1 threat on the main scheme. Place 1 additional threat for each side scheme in the victory display. So the more further you are in the game, the more punishing the cards are. Say you're on the Halls of Nastron, this one's now doing 3 threat on the main scheme. Boost icon. If damage from this attack defeats an ally, place 2 threat on the main scheme. They are making it obvious that they don't want you to ally block nonstop. It's been a big complaint from, not complaint, but it's been something that people have talked about where you could always just ally block to deal with many attacks. That's what made leadership so strong. That's what was the big issue. The Queen of Hell. When revealed, Hela schemes. Place 1 threat on each side scheme. That doesn't matter much. I don't know if there's other side schemes besides that one main one. When revealed, Hela attacks you. Place 1 threat on each side scheme. So she does either attacks her schemes and kind of helps her side schemes up. And there's 2 of those. The Weights of Niflheim. When revealed, take 1 indirect damage. Take 1 additional indirect damage for each side scheme in the victory display. So then you're taking anywhere from 1 to 4 damage. And this is boost icons, again, depending on how many side schemes you have. And there's 2 of those. So those are Hela's cards. Now, she does come into play. She does have the Frost Giant module set, which probably has a side scheme, and the Gods of Hell, I believe, side counter set. So those give her minions and probably more side schemes to kind of work with. But let's focus on the Hela cards themselves. The one cool thing I like about Hela is the progression aspect. It's very much like Escape from the Museum, where you have to go through 3 different schemes to kind of advance. So you have to pretty much go through all 3 side schemes, but you can't go through until you beat all 3 Guardians. So you beat 1 monster, then the scheme. Second monster, then the scheme. Third one, then the halls. That frees Odin out. But then at that point, Hela has, and if you're playing standard, let's say you're playing it on solo, 2, 4, 6, 14 hit points on her Sage. You must then go through that with Odin out, and then you can win the game. So that's pretty cool. That's the coolest thing about Hela. The actual cards themselves, nothing really mind-blowing in my opinion. But the whole way of progressing through the different stages of kind of like advancing through the underworld is really cool. That's probably the best part. So with that, I'm going to ask you guys, as always, to subscribe to the channel, like it. If you are enjoying the videos, let me know what you think about Hela down below. And we are going on to the last scenario, Loki himself, the final encounter for the Mad Titan Shadow Box. Stay tuned.